Section 15C. Informed Decision-Making 15.15. Learning is power. Effective airmanship requires good decision-making. From Airman Basic to General, the decisions each of us make every day impact the delivery of air power. The habits of mind necessary for becoming a critical thinker are developed over time. Each of us must work every day to make good decisions by consciously applying the intellectual analysis necessary to account for complexities. The process of decision-making is as important as the information analyzed. The habitual application of critical thinking methods to the gathering and analysis of information helps reduce our unconscious and natural tendency to accept an available option as satisfactory without actually exploring all feasible options before making a decision. 15.16. Digital literacy, information literacy. Decision makers must be informed and capable of distinguishing information relevant to the decision at hand. Fortunately, the Internet has made more information available than ever before. This allows for immediate access to information from a wide variety of sources, and provides the potential for real-time updates as conditions change. However, because Internet information is not regulated for quality and accuracy, it is particularly important to critically evaluate sources and consider the potential for inaccuracy or misinformation. To become a critical consumer and Internet user, a common best practice is to apply the CRAP test, which is a list of questions to evaluate potential information. The CRAP acronym stands for currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. Currency, timeliness: when was the information published or last updated? Have newer articles been published on the topic? Does your topic require recent information, or will older sources work as well? Relevance, importance of the information for your needs: does the information answer your question? Who is the intended audience? Is the information at an appropriate level, i.e., not too simple or overly technical for your needs? Authority, source of the information: who is the publisher or sponsor? What are the author's credentials or organizational affiliations? Is the author qualified to write on the topic? Accuracy, reliability, truthfulness, and correctness of content: is the information supported by evidence? Was the information reviewed by editors or subject experts before it was published? Can you verify any of the information in other sources? Purpose, the reason the information exists: is the information intended to inform or teach? Or is it intended to sell, entertain, or persuade? Does the point of view appear objective and impartial? Are there political, ideological, cultural, religious, institutional, or personal biases? In general, aim to rely on sources that have strong incentives to present accurate information. There may be little consequence to the writer of a blog or message board post if they get facts wrong. For-profit companies may purposely mislead in order to present their company and products positively. However, information in newspaper articles or scientific papers is normally reliable. Errors in these forums can seriously damage the author's reputation. 15.17. Analytical thinking. Informed decision-making requires more than gathering and evaluating facts. It requires analytical thinking to systematically break information apart, compare different aspects of a problem, and organize information to address complex, multidimensional issues. As a first step, exercise healthy skepticism and consider several potential causes of what you observe. One can often avoid errors in analytical reasoning by recognizing a few basic principles. Limitations of small sample sizes. Judgments based on a large number of observations, large number of people, events, etc., are more likely to be accurate than judgments based on a small number of observations. Example: imagine you decided to get a college degree as part of your personal growth. You have a program in mind, but there are so many educational institutions to choose from. You have narrowed your choice to University A or University B. You have several friends that attend each school. Your friends at University A all really like the school. Your friends at University B are very dissatisfied with their school. However, When you visit University B, you have a good experience and like the students and professor that you met with. In contrast, during your visit to University A, you get the brush off from the professor you tried to speak with and didn't click with the students you met. Which school should you attend? Many people will say you should attend University B because you personally had a positive experience. Go with your gut. While that's not necessarily wrong, it is important to fully recognize the limited duration of your visit. How much of the school did you see? How many different classes did you sit in on? How many students, professors, etc. did you interact with? In comparison, your friends at University B will have had much more extensive opportunities to interact with many others at the school over a longer time period. Take the time to base your decisions on a larger number of observations when possible. Impressions based on a few days or a few people will usually not be as accurate as judgments or data based on a larger number of observations. Correlation doesn't imply causality. It is important to consider how different factors are interrelated, and whether changing, increasing or decreasing, one factor may impact others. Even when two factors are clearly related, do not immediately assume that one factor is causing the other. To make firm conclusions, ensure that you are making fair comparisons. While the real world does not lend itself to carefully designed double-blind randomized clinical trials, the gold standard for scientific research, it is important to apply the concept of the control group when making judgments. Before scientists determine that a pill causes a certain health outcome, they compare outcomes for those who have taken the pill to outcomes for those who have not. Before concluding that the pill caused the difference in outcomes, they asked an important question: are the two groups otherwise mostly the same? For example, imagine that a base offered XYZ supplements for free to all RegAF members. Members who took the free supplements improved their physical fitness test scores after taking the supplements, while there was no change in the physical fitness test scores of others. Before you conclude that XYZ supplements cause improved physical fitness, ask some questions. Consider whether the people who took XYZ supplements differed in important ways from those who didn't. Maybe there was a self-selection bias. Members who exercised more or ate healthier foods, i.e., were more motivated to improve their fitness, were more likely to choose to take vitamin XYZ. Or maybe vitamin XYZ takers were younger than non-takers, or less likely than non-takers to have pre-existing health conditions. The more similar the two groups, the more reasonable it would be to conclude that XYZ supplements cause improved physical fitness. Deciding to take XYZ supplements may or may not be a good idea. Before you make that decision, though, consider whether you're making a fair comparison. 15.18 Creative Thinking and Creative Problem Solving. Creative problem solving involves two distinct components: divergent thinking and convergent thinking. Divergent thinking is defined as the ability to generate multiple varied solutions to a given problem. Brainstorming is a divergent thinking task. Convergent thinking, in contrast, is a process that seeks out the correct or best possible solution from identified possibilities. With formal education and training, we tend to improve in convergent thinking skills, but we tend not to improve, may even worsen, on divergent thinking. Yet both processes are important for effective problem solving. The Osborne-Parnes model is one recommended problem-solving approach that incorporates divergent and convergent thinking. Central to this approach is the principle of deferred judgment. This principle requires that we allow a period of time to let ideas flow freely, apply divergent thinking, without internal or external evaluation. Only after we have identified many possible ideas, should we evaluate them, apply convergent thinking. The model consists of the following stages. Each stage involves successive divergent and convergent thinking tasks. In each stage, letting ideas flow freely before applying judgment. 1. Mess finding. Identify the problem that you want to address. What do you want to change? Summarize the problem as a how to statement. Example: how to reduce the number of airmen calling in sick. 2. Data finding. Seek out all relevant facts that apply to the situation. Ask the 5 Ws. Who is involved? What is involved? What are some examples of the problem? When does it or will it happen? Where does it or will it happen? Why does it happen? Then try to identify what additional facts about the situation are lacking and where you might search for them. Get the facts. 3. Problem finding. Describe what you want to accomplish in more specific terms. Ask yourself, in what ways might we, IWWMW, address the situation? Brainstorm many problem statements. What you initially thought you wanted to accomplish might reflect another concern, desire, or need. After reflection, select the problem statements that captures the most important or underlying problem. Example: decrease the spread of COVID-19 in the squadron. 4. Idea finding. Identify as many potential solutions to the problem as possible. Thinking of many ideas, even far out, odd, or unusual ideas, is critical. Write all the ideas down. It is often helpful to set a numeric goal, example, 50 to 75 ideas, before you discuss or review the ideas. If time permits, incubate, sleep on it, let your mind wander, to generate additional ideas. Positive mood and rest facilitate brainstorming. In a group setting, it can sometimes help to have members offer ideas anonymously. Extrinsic motivations, example, to impress others with great ideas, can undermine divergent thinking. Anonymity may help group members feel safe to put forward ideas that go beyond the tried and true. Only after you have allowed time to generate many ideas should you begin to evaluate them and narrow the list. Example, to select 6 to 8 ideas that seem to have the greatest potential. 5. Solution finding. Use a list of selected criteria to choose the best solution. First, create a preliminary list of criteria that should be used to evaluate your ideas. Example: time, cost, feasibility, safety, impact on morale. Identify which criteria are most critical and assign a weight to the importance of each criteria. Example: using a 1 to 10 scale, where 10 is most important. Then use a decision matrix, table 15.1, to rate each idea, each potential solution, on each of the criteria. Table 15.1. Decision matrix example. Criteria 1, Criteria 2, Criteria 3, Idea 1, Idea 2, Idea 3. Multiply the ratings by the weight assigned to each of the criteria. Ideas that are evaluated most favorably on the highest weighted criteria should be the preferred solutions. 6. Acceptance finding. Attempt to gain acceptance for the solution, develop a plan of action, and implement the solution. Follow through. 15.19. Decision-making model. There are a wide range of decision-making models available for leaders, whether in the military or corporate structure. One decision-making model that has been adopted by the military is the Viru-Netanyahu decision-making model, used for deciding how to decide. According to this model, there are 5 primary levels of decision-making, each requiring a different level of involvement or complexity for the decision-making process. The following is a brief description of each of the 5 levels of decision-making and some pros and cons associated with each level. Level 1. Decide and announce. In this level, leaders make the decision and announce or present it to the group or organization. This approach can allow leaders to make and implement decisions quickly, but to avoid possible indifference or lack of motivation. In this approach, the leader controls the decision and the situation. Leaders should explain rationale as to why the decision was made unilaterally. Cons associated with this approach are that leaders may not take the time to consider all the necessary information. By not including others in the decision-making process, leaders may alienate members of the group or organization unnecessarily. Level 2. Gather input from individuals and decide. In this level, leaders gather input from selected individuals or the group individually, and then make the decision. This approach can allow leaders to consult with recognized experts to gather additional information to make a more informed decision, but does not require a meeting with the entire group. Cons associated with this approach are that others in the group may wonder why the leader did not consult with them. They may perceive the leader as playing favorites, which could result in some resistance from the group or organization when it comes time to implement the decision. Level 3. Gather input from the group and decide. In this level, leaders gather input from the group and then make a decision. This approach of including the group in gathering the data enhances the chance for synergy and better informed decision-making. Cons associated with this approach are that if a leader makes a decision different from what the group suggests, the group may feel that their inputs or suggestions were not valued or appreciated. The group may feel that the decision-making process was predetermined by the leader and that the interaction was a facade, which will likely result in members of the group undermining implementation or being unwilling to participate in future decisions. Also, this approach does take more time for the leader to make the decision. Level 4. Facilitate consensus. In this level, leaders present issues or problems to the group and facilitate the decision-making process within the group. If the group is unable to reach consensus, the leader has the option to make the decision. This approach of allowing the group to generate possible decision options enhances buy-in and ownership of members of the group, educates members of the group, and allows for quicker implementation as more people are knowledgeable about the decision process and what needs to be done. This approach helps build and sustain trust and respect between group members. Cons associated with this approach are that it takes more time. Also, there is the possibility that the decision could be one that is adequate, but not optimal due to the nature of groups arriving at a compromise to reach an agreement, and the leader needing to accept the decision or facilitate further decision analysis. Level V. Delegate with constraints. In this level, leaders delegate the problem to the group and authorize the group to make the decision within specified boundaries. Leaders do not abandon the group, but facilitate support and resources to enable the group's success in making a decision. This approach is good for building team leadership skills and allows ownership of the decision by the group. It also frees the leader to focus on other issues. Cons associated with this approach are that it takes more time. It may lead to a decision not viewed by the leader as optimal, and the team may not have the skills to reach a quality decision, resulting in disharmony among the group rather than pride and ownership over the decision. Note that the Osborne-Parnes process can be applied regardless of who provides input or makes the final decision. For example, leaders can apply the Osborne-Parnes process to reach a decision independently. Level I. Decide and announce. They can involve others in idea finding only. Level 1 or 2. Gather input and decide. Or they can encourage others to apply the Osborne-Parnes process. Level 4 or V. Facilitate consensus or delegate with constraints.